Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Community Live Stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie, sporting the blue one, somewhat translucent. You can kind of see through it today, but when I get smaller in the corner, you won't notice. This is the web series that brings you not only the answers to the community. Let me bring up a screen share behind me. I'm not sure what happened there. Hopefully we don't have a dead cursor. There we go. No technical issues this morning. I want to let you know, though, right off the bat, that there are some thunderstorms going on outside. So if the power goes out, if the stream suddenly goes dead, it's just a power outage. I'm okay. But we'll see if we can get through this whole thing. Fingers crossed. Lucky rabbit's foot, whatever it takes. Cup of tea. Let's see if we can get through this. All right. I not only bring you answers to the community, but give you insights as to how I get to that thought process so that you can take those to your job as an admin or developer and be more effective on the ServiceNow platform. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Thank you for watching very much. Want to let you know that we do this on YouTube. Try to do this every weekday unless personal or business life interferes. This is a labor of love, but if you subscribe to that channel below, you will get an alert, much like the one that I just got on my phone, like that says, hey, ServiceNow is live. And you get a lot of other cool content as well. So subscribe to that channel. Like this video if you find something in the next hour that you find helpful. Make sure you click that like button, and that lets other people know there's something useful here. So do that for me. I would be eternally grateful. We also do this on Twitch, simulcast this. So whatever your preference is, wherever you're watching, some people like to watch there. Don't see anybody right now, but that's your option. You can do that if you want. Along with Twitch, let's see, what do we got? Let's go into the Requestor. If you are new to the community, here are some friendly tips. Provide some context, use the right forum, post only once, one question per post, all that kind of good stuff. You get the idea. Pretty standard stuff if you've been on an online community before. If not, observe first. Find out what people are doing. Search. Look for your answer. If you have been on the community a while, consider turning that content into blog articles. You say, that was a really good question, or this keeps coming up. That's how I often get a lot of my applications and solutions that I use for work and for personal life. Is I see them over and over and over, and I say, you know what, I can fix this with a solution. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, Mitkari. What is the agenda? That's the cool thing about this show. There really is no agenda. I pull up random things in the community, see where I can help, and if it sparks a thought, we go down a rabbit trail. I do have a topic in the background waiting. Maybe we'll do that at the end of the show. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. Sometimes we get off on really good discussions and start talking about table definitions or best practices, whatever it takes. And it's really up to the content of the community as to what we cover. If you've got a question, please be sure to go over to the community. Did I not cover that? I did not cover that. Go over to the community at community.servicenow.com. If you just want to give a shout out like Carolyn and Mikari did, you can do that on YouTube or Twitch. I have to close that ad on Twitch. Darn it, that thing is just in the way. If somebody starts chatting over there, I won't see it entirely. So thank you very much. Give me a shout out. Stu's back. All right. Good to see you there. I was missing you yesterday. We had our up and running, and you weren't there, unfortunately. I will also be using a free personal developer instance, which I got over at developer.servicenow.com. You can get yours running London, Jakarta. London, Kingston, and Jakarta. I don't think Istanbul is available anymore. If it is, it won't be for long. So any of the latest 3 releases, London is not generally available, but if you want to go test it out, see what it's like, just try some of these new features, make sure that what you think might cause you some upgrade issues is actually compatible, you can do that. You can actually provision a Kingston instance and then upgrade it to London if you want to try the upgrade process. See how it goes. Put some of your apps out there, put some of your update sets on it, and see what happens. Make sure that it works, and then you can give your boss and say, you know what, I did a quick prototype this weekend or this evening, and the upgrade to London is pretty darn easy for us. give them that kind of feedback and go forward. There's also free learning paths. We had a discussion yesterday. After the show was over, the chat kept going on for quite some time. And one person was saying, well, I'm not that strong in scripting. Where can I get started? You can get started here, developer.servicenow.com, and it will walk you through scripting and REST APIs and building a complete application, all the things you need to get started being an effective developer. And then, of course, lots of community, lots of videos. There's lots of content. There's no shortage of content out there. Flow Designer has so many bugs. Well, you know where you can report those. There are PRBs being tracked. London has focused a lot on the usability and the enhancements. So I'm not going to debate or discuss any of the bugs here because I don't know of them or the status of them, but customer support does. If you go to hi.servicenow.com and report a bug, they'll be able to tell you if they're tracking it against a PRB, which is a problem record. I know we kind of throw that term around loosely, but a PRB is a problem record. That's just the first three letters you see when you open up a problem. And they can tell you, is it fixed in patch 1? Is it fixed in Madrid? Is it not going to be fixed? Some stuff like that. So I encourage you to do that. Keep up with them. Good morning, Ram. Good to see you as well. Where were we? We were on Meetups. There are also Meetups on the developer site, but I prefer to go to meetup.com because it's got all the latest and greatest. There's not an automated integration yet. I'm looking forward to seeing that, but the most up-to-date stuff is over at meetup.com. I update this list once a week. It was updated Sunday night, so there may be one or two more that have been added to this list that I won't get to until the weekend. But keep your eye out on that URL on the bottom. If there isn't a chapter in your area, consider starting one. We also need leadership in Chicago, New York, and San Francisco. There's a ready-made group there for you. If you just want to step up and start organizing that, I invite you to reach out to us and let us know. We'd love to have those groups going again. I was a regular presenter at San Francisco area, the Bay Area. So if you maybe want to get me on your agenda, I'd be happy to help. Maybe we can relaunch that chapter. Good morning, Rahul. Good to see you. We've got the morning crew back. Well, my morning. Again, if this stream suddenly stops, it's thunder and raining out, so the stream might stop for a power outage. Who knows? Steve asks, can you shine some light on Agent Workspace and what's happening there? Heard a rumor of some legal issues. Now, I haven't heard any legal issues. It is in limited availability, which means it's sort of beta testing for a limited amount of customers. Let me finish up with the rest of this spiel where we were on Meetups, events. If you want to go over to servicenow.com, events.html, you can find out what's happening over there. Now forums, now summits, Snugs, all that good information is over there. I'll get to your question in just a second. We've also got Tech Now episode 56 coming up about Integration Hub, custom spokes. I also added a footnote at the bottom of this slide for all the Tech Now episodes. You can use that bit.ly link and bring it to the index. I am working on reformatting that. It's getting a little long and unwieldy. It's not scalable, so I want to make sure that there's a way to go forward with the Tech Now episode lists. Any code that is produced here today will be transferred over to this link that you see on GitHub, organized by date. We had a couple of snippets thrown in there yesterday. I will do that, and it usually follows immediately after the show. Probably I'll have the code up before I have the video up. So if you're watching live, cool stuff. So I know people like to do that. And finally, we get into the community. So Steve's question about Agent Workspace. Agent Workspace, I don't have a slide for it immediately, but Agent Workspace, maybe we can find it on the docs. Well, I don't want to waste your time searching around. Agent Workspace is a new style of user interface targeted for agents. The customer fulfillment, responders, whatever you want to call them, your service desk, your customer service management people, the people who live, eat, and breathe in ServiceNow practically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're in this thing all the time. And what we recognized is that the standard lists and forms were not optimized for the way that these people work. So we've redesigned the interface for these people. I misspoke on Tech Now 55 when I said this is a licensed product. It is not. It comes with the platform, and it is initially being released with ITSM and customer service management. So it is part of the platform. We will be rolling it out more solidly in Madrid. What we're doing right now is putting out a release so customers can test it and give us some feedback on what works, what doesn't, where we want to focus our priorities, the enhancements, that kind of thing. And you can look for a wider release, general availability in Madrid when it comes out in Q1 of 2018. We do 2 releases a year, if you're not aware of that, and they are named after cities of the world alphabetically. Aspen, Berlin, Calgary, Dublin, you get the idea. Our release last January was Kingston, and next month, in just a few short weeks, we will be releasing London for general availability. It is available, as I mentioned earlier, on the personal developer instances over at developer.servicenow.com. Where's that bell? There we go. When you name a website, I guess you ring the bell too. It's a podcast thing. So I haven't heard of any legal issues, but it is limited availability. Slow down when I say that. Limited availability. Think of it as a beta release. I don't know how those customers are chosen. I think there was a partnership that was worked out months ago as to who has this limited availability access, what the feedback program is, all that kind of stuff. So, good morning, Jason. I hope that answers your question, Steve. Again, I haven't heard of any legal issues. If I hear of something, I'll share what I can. Sometimes when it comes to legal, people say, hush, hush. Things are, if they're in, obviously for legal reasons, if something is in litigation, I'm not allowed to speak of that, even if I knew anything. Many times they don't tell us and tell us to hush, hush. It's the same with any other company I'm just going to say things like Elon Musk. People have a way of saying things they shouldn't when they shouldn't. So oftentimes they don't tell us so that we don't accidentally say something we shouldn't when we shouldn't. All right, let's go to the community. That's my preamble. Let's go to the community. I'm going to do a quick refresh on the page. Again, this is over at community.servicenow.com. Put that up real quick for you and put that away. You can find out if you've got a question, if you've got an issue, if you want to find out if something is possible. Then, Steve, if you find out anything more substantial, if you've heard anything, facts, whatever, send me a private message in email, and I'd be happy to follow up. You got my email address. I'll see if I can track anything down internally. I haven't heard anything. I'm on the product marketing team, and inside of me beats the heart of a developer, which is why I do what I do. Okay, let me filter this down to just the unreplied. I'm going to start with unreplied. I don't have anything in the inbox. Oh, I do have one thing in the inbox. Let's open that up and see what it is. It might be a discussion from yesterday. It might be a discussion from yesterday. Somebody marked a question helpful. All right. AJ asked earlier, he said, how can we check if the incoming mail to the platform is the first email or the second email? And what I discussed with him was inbound actions. Now, inbound actions are the way that the system processes incoming email. Email is a form of integration. It's a poor man's integration, but it is a form of integration. You're taking data from another system and importing it into ServiceNow so it's usable. So I had said, watermarks, which I can show you, I believe. Let me log into my personal developer instance, which I got over at developer.servicenow.com. There we go. The button is just a little too far away. I should move that down to the front corner on my soundboard. I did install Text Expander yesterday, so if I run into any macros, I can have those handy. And watermarks. Let's see if there's any mailbox in the sent mailbox. I don't even know if I have mail configured on this personal developer instance. Sure enough, here's a Fred Luddy example. And at the bottom, if I view this, you'll notice, I'm not going to show you in HTML. Let's preview the HTML body. Down here is this thing, REF. You've probably seen this if you've dealt with ServiceNow before, but I know some of you are watching this video. You may not be familiar with this. This is how ServiceNow matches the email message to a record on the system. So if somebody sends a new email, this won't be here. And it says, oh, I have no reference, therefore, in all likelihood, this is going to be a new record. Whether it's an incident, catalog item, change request, whatever, however you set your inbound email actions set up to process, that's how it will get determined. So when the system sends out a message, for example, this one, loose carpet squares on the tile, this was for a safety issue that I had done for a demo. It sends out this message, and this watermark on the bottom says, this is tied to safety 10,082. that particular record that you see with the hyperlink in the middle of this pop-up dialog. And it has a sys_watermark table that keeps track of those two pieces of information. Now, in previous releases, I believe it was Jakarta, we came out with this other one, but it was just this long. It said MSG 0000221. That became a problem as we got more customers. Customers were sending mail between their systems. And message 221 watermark on my system may correspond to the safety record, but it may correspond to an incident on yours. So what we did is we added this additional random characters behind it. And you can specify how many characters and how complex it is. There's a couple of properties that drive this. Do you want it on? Do you want it off? How many characters? I think the maximum is 26. The minimum is 1, but one random character does not a good random character make. So I wouldn't recommend 1. So that's the watermark. Now, AJ came back and said, but I'm not sending any outbound messages. Oh, okay, well, that's an interesting requirement. So I said, what you are going to need to do is go into your inbound email actions. He said, how can I tell from the subject if this is the first or second reply? I said, you're going to need to parse the subject line, hope that there's some normalized data. Maybe it says incident whatever, RITM whatever. Okay. If it's coming from another system, you've got control over that. If it's coming from users, good luck. That's going to be the most random, unnormalized data you can get. I can't simply send an email and says, what's the status of my ticket? And it goes, well, Chuck, you have 4 request items and 2 incidents in the system right now. What are you talking about? What you need to do is have some sort of key. If you are sending a message to ServiceNow or your ServiceNow instance to be more proper, put something normal in the subject. INC, blah, 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 SAFT, 00001082. If that's in there, then you can parse that out, do a glide record query, and check if that record exists. If it exists, then this is an update. If it's not, then it's a new record, and you can take care of that in the inbound email action script. Just remember to check that box on the inbound email that says stop processing after you've done this one. Okay. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Jason is online. Good morning, Jason. Steve asks, looking forward to AWS. It was a cool feature from KAT. I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing any applications that I can write and use that as a workbench for third-party application, not third-party, but custom applications, like this safety issue thing that I built, or the loaner request. I'd love to build that into the loaner request app and learn more about how to configure it, the UI actions that are available, how to do the related lists, what all is there. I did get a sneak peek at some of the features that are coming in Madrid, so it will be, right now, it's a release 0.1 thing. It's very, very minimalistic. I don't even think you can sort the lists at this point. So, or list editing is right out. Those are the kinds of things that are looking up getting into Madrid. So when it's available for general release, people won't say, wow, this is too thin. It's anemic. I'm walking away. Because if you release something too early, there is a downside that customers will look at it and say, and never come back, even though the product has matured or even been re-released in another version. If you wait too long, well, you miss sales and market share, and you could possibly be releasing a product that is not congruent with what customers need. So we're trying this with Agent Workspace to do a, what did I call it? Limited availability. I almost used the wrong word. Limited availability so that we can get that feedback and focus the efforts in the right direction. So you've seen this before. Service Portal was released. It had some issues. Even scoped apps back in Fuji. We got feedback, and much, much better for scoped apps now. So have I done anything on the community yet? Yes, I verbally answered an email in my inbox. Let's continue. Let's refresh this because I was talking for about 10 minutes, and things happen very quickly at this time of day in the community. I'm going to go to unreply. GDPR and reporting, performance analytics. You'll see me skipping over a good number of these because these are not my specialty. I will dig in if it's of interest, or I think I can help. But in general, I'm going to be looking for things in the developer community, things that are focused on the platform, things that are related to integrations, so that I can help where my strengths are. And I encourage you, if you've got a speciality, whether it's ITOM, security, GRC, something in ServiceNow, reach out and help the people in the community that do that. You'll not only be helping them, but you'll be building a brand for yourself as a recognized leader, a subject matter expert in that area. And in my book, that leads to good things. How do I give access to specific users or companies to log incident from self-service portal? I have added notification that portal will be closed soon for all the clients. However, we want a few clients can still access the self-service portal. Have you thought about roles? Specific users. What did I just hit? I think I went through the community. Darn it, wrong link. Must be early. The tea's not kicking in yet. Maybe I should switch to water. Raul, I assume this is you. It says Raul on the community, so I'll bring that up. How do we give access to the people? I've added a notification the portal will be down for all the clients. What I would do, Raul, I'm going to type this as I go, so apologies for the slow speech. What I would do is create a role for the people you want to grant access, assign that role to those people with access, and then apply that role to the portal / pages you want to keep open for them. Anyone without that role won't have access. I'm going to double check that just to make sure. This is what the personal developer instance is really nice for. If I go to Service Portal and I look at portals, verify that we do have a role on the portal. And logo, theme, page. Come on. Finished loading. Thank you. Icon, role. No role. It's on pages. User criteria, maybe? User criteria available here. Search sources, let's configure the related lists. Configure related lists. Maybe we can do this with user criteria and you just put those people in there. Don't see has access. Come on, really? Is it just pages? Page route search, update versions, widget dependency, deleted, audit, attachments, announcements. Nothing. Okay. It must be at the pages level. However, you do have a main page for the portal. And I believe that's probably where most people are going to start. So if your page is index, you could do the same thing there. So instead of applying it to the portal, you can set that role, or you can go down to the related list and configure the related list that says, where was it? Has access? Am I missing it? Service portal 404. All right. I know we added user criteria to service portal. That's crazy. Maybe user criteria was only at the widget level. So let me update my post, and instead of saying that's the inbox, let me update my post. To the pages. You may even only need index. You know what? That doesn't even make a sense now. Let's move that part. English, Charles. English. Paste that there. Okay. And reply. Ding. There we go. 1 for the money. 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go. Let's go back to unreplied. See what else is new here. We'll hang out here in the new issues for a little bit. Add flag article functionality for knowledge articles in Service Portal. I thought that existed. Could be wrong. It might have come along later in a later release. I'm wondering if anyone has got a widget or snippet to achieve this. I was told the widget was previously available in Share, but it's not there anymore. Really? Really? Apparently I got timed out of the developer portal. So let's log back in. That's what happens when you talk too long. You get timed out. So let's go to Share, Home. There's my happy projects. Knowledge. SP widget task attached. Static KV article widget, public static article. Attachment, Watson. Let's look for flag. Maybe it'll be in the description. Litigation cases. No. All right, apparently it's not. You know what? I'm going to subscribe to that article and find out what happens. You can always do that. If you don't know the answer, you're curious, you just want to find something out, subscribe to it. Auto update milestone task in ITSM. Milestone sounds like project management. Let's take a look. I'm curious. Don't know if there'll be an answer in here. Hello, all. I have a requirement that anytime a dependency tasks are completed, the milestone that relies on these tasks should also get marked complete, and it should not be able to mark complete manually. Sounds like a business rule. I don't know the complete table structure of what you are doing, but this sounds like a simple business rule that checks all tasks with the same parent milestone. Every time a task is updated, you check all other tasks with the same criteria, e.g. same parent task, to see if the count of active tasks is 0. If it is, then you set the milestone task to completed. Do I have a macro for that? Here's some sample code. It will need to be updated accordingly. According to your table field requirements. All right, to the text editor. Oh, didn't hit the mute button fast enough on that one. Sorry about that. Text editor, wake up. File, new file. There we are. Haha. I have a macro to get me started. So we can do your task table. There's a query, parent milestone field is current.getValue, parent milestone field. I'm making this up as I go. It's sort of pseudocode. It's more fun. You don't have to get it syntactically right. And find all of them where the active is true. Rec dot add query active true, and let's also do rec dot set limit 1. Now, yes, I could do this, and I probably should do this with a glide record or a glide aggregate query. I'm going to give it a little different way to do it this time, and since I'm only looking for one record, if it finds one record, then it will simply return. How's that? Otherwise, yep, I know, don't bark at me yet. There. Otherwise, we're not going to update rec, we're going to do another glide record query for milestone equals new glide record. Your task table, because milestones are tasks, right? And if milestone.get. Cool thing here is I'm doing this in Microsoft Visual Studio Code Editor. And I've got the GitHub integration on there, so all I have to do is really save this file to the right directory and commit it, and I'm done. Boy, does that make posting code a lot easier. Not current. Yeah, current. Current.getValue. Parent milestone field. I don't use code completion all that often because it gets a little confused in this editor. Then milestone dot state equals completed value here. Milestone dot update. Okay. Try that. Nothing in the middle. Let's get rid of this rec update. We don't need that. This should be an after business rule. You know why? Because we're updating another record. We're doing this check after the task is updated. So you close a task, then the business rule triggers to see, are there any other records that I need to update? So let me copy that, put that over in the community. We have our lovely little code inserter here. I really wish that would default to JavaScript. I have to reduce the font size so I can hit my OK button. New computer, but same problem. The font was too large. Make that bigger so you can see it. And a simple after business rule. After update. There we go. See how that goes. All right. Ding. The code will be posted on GitHub after the show is done. I don't want to waste your time doing that housekeeping. So, get value. I'm off. Things to do. Code to be written. Good to see you back on the screen. Good to see you too, Steve. Good luck. Hashtag get value. I like that. How to create user in global domain. You need to be in the global domain. I know very little about domain separation. Let's see what's going on here. I have global separation enabled in my instance, you mean domain separation, and have multiple domains created in it. When I am trying to create a new user, it is going to default to top MSP default domain. I even tried to override it in a list, but no use. Also, there were some users that were created in the global domain earlier, but when I am resetting, its password domain is getting set to top. Any guess why this is happening? You really don't want people in the global domain. It means, yeah, my knowledge of domain separation, typically used by managed service providers where they have multiple companies. What they're doing is they're taking a ServiceNow instance and breaking into like sub-instances. And you can share logic across those domains. You can also make data visible from one domain to the other. So there's sort of this cross-pollination. There's these rules or exceptions that you can put in to say, look, my administrators are all over in this domain, the people who work at the MSP, and they need visibility down through the other domains. But the data flows up, logic flows down. I think that's how it goes. Yeah. Priyesh says, hi, Chuck. Nice to see you. I have a question. Could you please suggest the below post? I'm not going to be able to post the URL into YouTube. It doesn't like URLs. But if you give me just the last part, like the question mark ID equals community underscore question, and it's this ID equals, give me that last part of the URL. I'll see what I can do. All right. Normally, let's see, AWS, how to hide display grid on its performance analytics, security, developer, assessment designer, through workflow batch file not running, it's SIAM. How can we write the condition in business rule to check whether the user is in a parent domain or child domain? need to, I can't even write the condition. Script include would be my suggestion. Whenever I get into a complex expression, a complex thing to evaluate that really isn't going to fit on that one-line condition bar. So quick overview, business rules. Okay, business rules are database triggers. SSRU. I don't know, I'm taking the hard way around this. System, definition, business rules. This is business logic that's executed typically when a record is created, a record is updated, a record is deleted, or even when a record is read. I can run logic that says, hey, you are reading this record. And in there are conditions. When should this business rule be triggered? First, we'd identify the table. For example, the incident table. Well, we can't spell incident today, so let's pick incident. All right, there's the incident table. So what set of records am I watching? Is this for all business rules? No. And is it for all operations? Now, by default, the form comes up very simple because we want to encourage people to use the condition builder, use these non-coding features. They're easier to build, they're easier to maintain, they're easier to test, they have less risk of upgrade problems. So start with no code. If there is a way to do this without writing any script, please take it. Okay, that's your 10-cent tip for the day. If you like that one, hit the like button on the video. Much appreciated. All right, but there are times when you have requirements that go beyond that, and you can, let me give this a name, test business rule. I haven't done my business rule shtick in a while. Let's save that. And what I'm not seeing is the related actions. Okay, so right now I have two things. When should it run? Well, when a record, let's say when a record is inserted or created. And under what conditions? I can put additional conditions on there. Maybe when the caller is me. And I can say is dynamic me. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay. So if somebody else were updating this business rule, let's say Able Tutor is taking a look at this incident and does it, that wouldn't make sense if it's inserted. Let's change that. Anyone who's creating a new business, well, never mind. We'll go there later. So I can add additional conditions so that it doesn't trigger for every incident update and creation in this case. And I can also hit this link. Where is it? Where is my related link for advanced view? Oh, wow. I was thinking notifications for a second. I can hit advanced. The brain has checked out. If I check this box that says advanced, notice that this tab comes up and adds advanced features. Also, when to run changes as well. It adds this when. I've got before, after, async, and display. Before business rules run before the data is saved to the database. After rules run after the data is saved to the database. There are two different use cases for this. Before business rules are generally, use that cautiously, 99% of the time run when you're updating something on current. Okay, the current object, the current record that's being inserted, the current record that's being updated, I need to tweak a file. Let's say, tweak a field. Let's say priority is based on impact and urgency. It's already done that through some lookup rules, so ignore that fact for a minute. But if I want to say priority is going to be impact, if impact is 1 and urgency is 1, then priority is 1. Okay, I would do that in a before business rule because I want priority set before it's saved to the database. Once it's saved to the database, putting this in an after rule, if I said priority is going to be impact and urgency, doesn't make sense in an after rule because the save has already been made. So here's your clue. If you put current.update in a business rule, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Period. Come to me. Rethink your logic. Current.update in a business rule in 99.999% of the cases is the wrong thing to do. Don't put current.update in a business rule. So in my example, I said after. Those are used for modifying other data. So once I've validated and saved the information to this incident, then I'm going to update other records related to the incident. If I put the other record updates in a before business rule, I could have an ordering problem. And if there's an issue, which there often is, and business rule logic stops, let's say the due date can't be in the past. I've got a business rule that's checking for due date in the past, but that happens down here, and I'm saving and updating other records here, maybe the milestone task, for example, and that happens, and then I stop processing because the due date's in the past. This one's already been updated. The milestone is closed, and then you said, no, the due date's in the past. Stop processing. Too late. You already updated. So before rules are for current. After rules are for everybody else, all the other related records. There's your general rule of thumb. If you follow that, you will understand business rule processing better. Okay. Display rules, I won't get into those today, but those happen when the form is loaded. I've done those before. Async is like after, but it happens in the background. So if you've got a process that takes some time to run, a REST API, or something that is going to take time away from the user, if it takes more than a second or two, which doesn't seem like a long time, to do that execution, strongly consider running it as an async process. It won't happen immediately. The form won't be updated immediately. It will happen in the background. Could be 2 seconds, could be 5 seconds, could be 10 seconds later. It will happen. But we don't want to hold the user hostage, and they'll be going, boy, this system is slow. So async rules are a great alternative, and you must use them. You must use them if you're doing an outbound REST integration. I think I discussed that a couple of weeks ago when I was on hiatus, but I stuck in a video. So again, I've also got a couple more options here rather than just insert and update. Business rules, very, very fun. I can also, in addition to this condition, I've got another condition on this advanced tab. So when I checked advanced, when changed, and this advanced tab came up, I've got this condition. Now, oftentimes you can do something as simple as current.active. Okay? Only run this script when the current record is active. Okay? If I just closed it, then it's not active anymore. Or only run it if it's active and GS has role admin. If the current user has the admin role and it's active, then this will run. So this condition must evaluate to true for this script to run. Got it so far? The problem comes in when you need to write some complex logic in here. Are there any related, how are all of the subtasks closed? Then run it gets really kind of crazy. Stop scrolling on me, mouse. What I will do in that case is call a script include. If it's a single function script include, you can just call the function. Do I want to go into that? We got time to go into that. Let's go into that. Okay, so there's two options here. One, I could write a script include. Let's just call it all my tasks closed. And I can pass it current. Okay, that is perfectly valid code. It is a function in a script include that is going to call this. Now, it is not a prototype script include. There's different types of script includes. Let me save this real quick, and I'm going to put a favorite on my bookmark so that I can come back here real quick, although it's probably already in my little timer deal. What I would do in that case is create a favorite. Let's make this a light bulb green. I've had enough of green. Let's do white. Okay, so my white light bulb is there. Now, if I go over to system definition, script includes, system definition, script includes. Script includes are bits of server-side code that you call on demand. Okay, they're a library of server-side code. And I can't remember what I called that. All my tasks closed. I give it that name, and it comes down here and fills in this little prototype. Now, if I use this format, then I have to precede it with new. I have to instantiate this object. However, I said a direct function. I can type function all my tasks closed and write this, okay, and put that in as a glide record is what I passed in. Note that this name in the name must match this name. Okay, I don't do this all that often. I like keeping my code in one place. I like making libraries of stuff. I don't make standalone functions like this too often, but you may find it handy in certain use cases. Processing goes here. That's option one. Option two is, of course, create this and say, all my tasks closed to, and it will do the current in here. Then I would have a function that says check tasks, function, pass it a glide record. Why would I use this one instead, even though it looks like more code? I can get more functions in it. I can get related functions in. Maybe this isn't all my tasks closed to. Maybe this is my incident library. My incident library. And if I change it here, it will automatically update everywhere it finds there, there, and there. And I can put in processing happens here. Now I can put check tasks. I can put in manage tasks. I can put in update, close, send reminders, whatever. Okay, let's save that one. If that were the case, then I would go back here to my business rule, and in the condition, rather than writing all this complex logic, if this is on and that's off and the user has this role and go look up this, and that doesn't fit in a one-line script line very well. I would change this to new my incident. I don't even remember what I called it. My incident functions, my incident code. Garbage, whatever. Check tasks current. Okay, instantiate this class, this script include, and run this function with this parameter. That has to return a true or a false. Period. That's it. It has to return a truthy or a falsy. I'm not going to get into all the details of that. I usually explicitly say return true or return false somewhere in that script include function, so that I know this is going to come back. Nice thing about this is you can unit test this. You can test this quite easily in, rather than running this business rule over and over and go, well, why did it run? Why did it skip? Why did it not do this? Why did it do this? I can test this function independently using something like scripts background or James Neal's explore tool, and make sure that no matter what data I pass into this function, it's going to return the appropriate true or false. Precious post. I'm still not sure which post that is. You asked about database view on CMDB rel CI. I'm going to be honest, I don't use database views all that often. My personal opinion is they're hard to write. They really are. I don't like them. That's not why I stay away from them. But if it goes beyond just table A connected to table B, they get really gross. If you try doing table A to table B to table C, I've never gotten a three-way table connection to work yet. Where's the underscore field and when is it not? So I apologize on that one. It's not my forte. I would look to, if somebody in the community doesn't come up, look to customer support. That's always my fallback. Is really, to be blunt, the community is an incident deflection tool. I'm helping support right now. Customer support on high takes a dip when people participate in the community, and you get some interesting perspectives on this stuff. It's not always the best practice by any means. People will recommend solutions, and the person who asked the question will suck it up and go, great, that solved my problem, and may run into issues years later. Now, is that likely to happen with customer support? Possibly. They haven't been in the field, but they should know what our technical best practices are to avoid problems later. All right, I think I've exhausted business rules. don't know if there's any code worthwhile of posting in there to the GitHub repo. Let's go back to the community. Was there a question in there? Oh, it was all about the domain and the subdomain. When a user is in a particular domain, how can we check using a business rule that the domain which is selected is a parent domain or a child domain? The user's in a domain. How can you check if it's a parent or a child domain? I would have to turn on domain separation, and I really am not going to do that. Once you turn on domain separation, it's on. You can't turn it off. So I know a lot of customers say, hey, maybe we should consider domain separation. Let's take a look at it. Once you turn it on. It's done. We have something in the inbox again. Let's check that real quick. We are coming up to the end of the show. Appreciate everybody sticking around. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found something useful in here. Educational, entertaining, I don't know. Auto update milestone task. I believe I already responded to that one. And they came back with, hello, Chuck, thanks so much. I don't know why this thing scrolled back up on me. It was doing fine the way it was. I just wanted to put in here the main requirement, which I had, is the milestone task should inherit the status from the dependency task. The start end date should match the dependency task. What if you have more than one dependency, though? Milestones can often... I don't like this when people say, I want this record to inherit this other record, when it's a one-to-many relationship. That milestone should automatically complete with the same end date as the dependency task. Okay, I'm going to fire back. That's a good challenge because... let's make this English. You could have multiple child tasks that are hanging off the milestone task. If I close one of three, then the milestone is not updated. When I close 3 of 3, then the business rule, then the code I gave earlier would run. Are you looking to update the milestone task date based on the last? Your description was a bit vague. Your description implied you only have one dependent task. And that, my friend, is a dangerous assumption when there are one-to-many relationships or many-to-many relationships involved. There we go. Reply. Ding. Thought there was another one in here. Yes. Stephen Bell wrote an article, a very nice article about how he's been doing this for 3 years. And some of the things he did, it was nuts, man. I thought I was busy at Knowledge. Then again, I work for ServiceNow. So yes, I'm going to be busy at our Knowledge conference. If you're not aware, Knowledge is our annual conference that we do each year. This year we'll be in Las Vegas. I got to check the dates. I thought it was May 7th through 10th. Knowledge.servicenow.com is where you can find out more. Probably still has dates from last year. Yeah, this is May 7th through 10th. So I think it's 6th through the 9th, 6th through the 10th. Keep an eye on this. It will have more information as it comes up. This is all still related to last year. We want to get people to understand what was there. But great conference, great networking opportunity, great learning opportunity, lots of hands-on labs where you can get your own instance and say, hey, I need to learn about discovery or service mapping or security or GRC or go deeper into the developer. We've got 2 days of pre-conference training. So you can put training back to back with hands-on experience and really, really grow your skill set in just a few short days. Talk to product managers from ServiceNow. Talk to partners who can help you implement. Lots of great, great information. Again, networking, parties. It's a conference. And we really do it upright. So returning to Las Vegas again this year. one quick note, I did have a continuing discussion on the scripted REST APIs that we had yesterday. And this is an interesting discussion. Scripted REST APIs are a way for you to define an endpoint for a third-party service to get information or put information, work with information in ServiceNow. We've got the built-in REST APIs. Every table has a REST API in order with which to access it. So I can go to the REST API Explorer, and this is a great little tool within the platform. If you've used something like, what is it? There's a Google Chrome extension utility for this. Postman is another one. You can reach into ServiceNow. This is a great way to simulate what does my endpoint need to be? What are my headers? What does the payload look like if I'm doing a post or a put or a patch? And what methods do I have available to me? So if I use the table API, that's the default here. Every table has a built-in, even a table that I create. If I were to create a table right now, I would have a built-in REST API for that table. That is something that many of our friendly competitors don't have in their platform. You have to build every one of those yourself, which is kind of crazy. And if somebody goes, well, what about the security? Do I have to build it? If you're not using it, if you don't have an account and you don't have access, you don't get to use the REST API. It's not like they default to open access. Okay, so here's my REST API Explorer. And down, if I just say I want to get incidents, it will use this get command to get incidents. They're trying to put something back in and said, well, if I do a put or a patch, what table do I use? The nice thing about scripted REST APIs, and I'm going to go over to the product documentation, London, there are some examples in here. Nice thing about scripted REST APIs is you are in complete control of what the endpoint is, what parameters are passed on the URL, what the payload looks like, what do you need to do this process, and what do you output? What's the response payload? What is this response status? Did it work? Did it not? Obviously, you want to try and stick to standard HTTP codes like access denied or record inserted, that kind of thing. But you also have complete control over the processing that happens behind those. I don't have one immediately available for me, but I do have some examples in the London scripted REST API examples. Oh, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? I just saw them. There, scripted REST API examples. Script samples. So you can get the URI information, you can get the request parameters, you can get the body of a message. Let's see, response object, that's a return string post. You can get the request string, which will be request.body. Whatever you call it. So if you send in a string, you can do that. Lots of different ways you can consume the information from the URL, from the body content of the scripted REST API. And in this function, this is just server-side code. So he says, I've got 2 tables to update. Great. Pass me the ticket ID 1 and ticket ID 2 and state, or whatever's in your payload or on the URI. I would probably put it in a payload because it's easier to parse, it's easier for me to manage, it's easier for me it makes for a shorter endpoint, easier to program on the other side, but that's completely up to you. Whatever your third-party software does to talk to ServiceNow via REST, you can manage and manipulate that. So if you need to do multiple glide record queries, maybe this record tells you what the other record is. It's got a dependency. It's a sysid. It's a reference locator. It's a whatever it is. It says go find record 1. Okay, let's do a glide record query to find record 1, and then .walk or whatever you need to get that second record updated is completely up to you. So that's the beauty of scripted REST APIs, is you are in complete control. It gives you ultimate flexibility on your REST endpoint. Also allows you to do versioning. So if you write several applications, you've got numerous systems that integrate using this same API. You could have maybe your legacy application from 2018 is using version 1 of your API, and later somebody said, oh, I've got another application that wants to do something very, very similar. You can use the same endpoint, maybe tweak the parameters and go, you know what, version 2 uses 2 URL parameters and a payload that looks like this. Version 3 has one URL parameter and uses a payload that looks like that. And the applications can still say, I'm using version 1, I'm using version 2, I'm using version 3, and they're all still happy. Even though you've made code changes, the original application you wrote that uses the version 1 API remains unaffected. Versioning is cool. Okay, but you do have to worry about, watch out for it when you're dealing with other people's REST APIs. I discovered that when I was integrating with Todoist. But I'll save that story for another time. It is part of my Phoenix developer meetup. If you are in Phoenix this Thursday, I encourage you, come on out. On the 23rd, we're going to be talking about what I learned when I did this integration between ServiceNow and Todoist. That is taking me to the end of the hour. I want to thank you again for participating, for watching this. Thank you very much. Click that like button if you found something useful. Thank you for the Q&A. Get those other chapters up and running. And I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.